You know, some ideas just completely flip your thinking upside down. Like, what if your house isn't actually an asset? Or what if the rich don't really work for money? That's the kind of stuff that Robert Kiyosaki throws at you in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it's one of the most talked about finance books ever. So today, we're going to distill its biggest, most revolutionary lessons. The book kicks off with a puzzle that, let's be honest, probably hits close to home for a lot of us. We're all taught the same thing, right? Go to a good school, get a stable job, and you'll be set for life. But if that's the whole story, why do so many smart, hardworking people still find themselves struggling with money? That's the big question we're diving into. So how does the book explain this? Well, the whole thing is built around a simple but really powerful personal story. It's all about the author's experience growing up with two very different father figures. And that contrast, right there, is the key to the entire philosophy. Okay, so on one side, you've got Poor Dad. This was his actual father. A brilliant guy, highly educated, had a safe, secure government job. His whole philosophy was safety first. Study hard, get good grades, find a stable company to work for. But on the other side was Rich Dad, his best friend's father. This guy was a school dropout who went on to become a super successful entrepreneur. His advice couldn't have been more different. It was basically, forget the job security, you need to learn how money actually works. So what was the big secret? What was the one thing that made all the difference between these two guys? It wasn't about how much money they made. It wasn't about their education level. It all boiled down to one fundamental principle about what you do with the money you have. First, let's look at Rich Dad's super simple definition of an asset. Forget all the complicated accounting terms you might have heard. It's this simple. An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket. That's it. Think of it like a little money-making machine that works for you. And then, of course, you've got the flip side, a liability. This is just as simple. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket month after month. It's a money-draining machine. And according to the book, knowing the difference between these two is absolutely everything. And this is where the rubber really meets the road. You can see how these two mindsets lead to totally different actions. The rich, they're laser-focused on one thing: buying assets. Things like businesses, stocks, real estate that generates rent, stuff that makes money for them. But the poor and middle class, well, they often buy liabilities that they think are assets. You know, the expensive car with a big loan, or even a primary residence with a massive mortgage that just drains your income. The result is that one group has their money working for them, while the other group works endlessly for their money. Okay, so if this is all so important, why in the world don't they teach us this in school? This brings us to a really critical point in the book. Our education system has a huge blind spot when it comes to money. I mean, think about it. Our schools are fantastic at creating amazing employees, right? They teach us how to get a job and work for money, but they almost never teach us the language of money itself, how to make money work for us. And this is what Rich Dad called financial literacy. It's not some crazy, complex rocket science. It's really just understanding a few key things: how cash flows, the real difference between an asset and a liability, the basics of investing, and ultimately how to get your money to do the heavy lifting. The book's point is, this is an education you have to go out and get for yourself. But you know, just understanding the mechanics of assets and liabilities, that's only part of the puzzle. The book argues that your single most powerful financial tool isn't your paycheck, it's not your savings account, it's what's going on between your ears, it's your mindset. Think about this phrase, one you've probably heard or even said a million times: I can't afford it. This was Poor Dad's go-to response. And what happens when you say that? It's a statement. It's a dead end. It literally shuts your brain down and stops you from looking for solutions. But Rich Dad, he had a totally different approach. He would never say he couldn't afford something. Instead, he would flip it and ask a question: how can I afford it? See how different that feels? It's a challenge. It forces your brain to switch on, get creative, and start looking for answers and opportunities. And that's the whole point right there. One is a full stop. The other is a green light. One is an excuse that ends the conversation, and the other is a challenge that starts a whole new one. This simple little linguistic shift is the seed that a wealth-building mindset grows from. It's all about possibility, not limitation. So at the end of the day, where does all of this leave us? It really comes down to the financial story you choose to tell yourself, the story you choose to write for your own life. Because here's the ultimate takeaway from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Wealth isn't really about the number in your bank account. It's about cultivating a mindset that creates wealth.
It's a way of thinking that is constantly looking for opportunities to build assets and to write your own financial future.
So the path forward that the book lays out is actually pretty simple. It all starts with step one: you have to truly, deeply understand the difference between things that pay you and things that cost you. From there, step two is to focus all your energy on acquiring those income-generating assets. And finally, step three: never, ever stop learning. Your financial education is the single most important investment you can make.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty powerful question to think about. When it comes to your money, your career, your future, you've got two voices in your head. You've got the poor dad voice of fear and security, and you've got the rich dad voice of opportunity and growth. So, which dad are you listening to?